welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today I'm actually talking about Pfizer stock, and the reason I'm talking about this stock is because as you know, the market has been down lately last 2 days because of the speculation that came out. A lot of different speculations. The Fed is gonna go beyond the 25 bips that they're gonna do for last time they did, and the next meeting they're gonna increase it maybe to 50 bips basis points to increase the interest rate. What's gonna happen is when you increase the interest rate on bonds, there will be a lot of big dogs taking money out of the market and buying those bonds, which will guarantee them a return. And you know, you're moving towards recession, right? At this point, a lot of different platforms are saying that the stocks that are very stable are the pharmaceutical stocks and also the oil stocks. Now, as far as the Pfizer is concerned, that is kind of coming up true because Pfizer stock had a good day yesterday, and now it's even rising further to the last resistance we had for the stock at $55.35, and now it's reaching that point and looks like it is going to cross that resistance. Is going to go to the next resistance at $56. So before I get into the technicals, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. I make video every day, and the objective here is to get you guys information on every stock that is hot, that is has a potential to be a portfolio stock, or you can make money on it. The objective is to give you all the facts, all the information, and you can make your own decision, maybe a better decision, you know. And none of this is the financial advice. This is just me putting information out there in front of you, so you actually you can make a decision based on that. The catalyst that came out today, they actually acquiring this ReViral company, which actually is working on some antiviral therapeutic RSV medication, and they're going to be paying $525 million. Now, the news itself is not that big that would cause the stock to start rising since yesterday, because it's going up since yesterday. And the fact of the matter is, as I said earlier, this has to do with whatever, you know, with the market going on. People are taking all the money out of different stocks that think they're not going to hold on to the value, and they're adding into more stable stock. And let's look at the company, why this company is more stable than the others, right? So it's a market cap of the company is $312 billion, a large company, and they are profitable, right? Their EPS is 3.85, which means their operations currently they are profitable. Earnings per share is profitable. Volume, they trade on an average is about 32 million as of right now, which is 2:15 p.m. EST. The volume so far they've done is 23 million. You see that the volume is not that great. There's a lot lower than the average, but the stock is still rising. Is because investors are taking money out of different stocks and just dumping into a stable stock. As far as their balance sheet is concerned, everything is by thousands. 181 million. You got to times it with 1,000, so it'll be 181 billion. So their total assets they have is 181 billion. The total liabilities they have is 104 billion, and their net equity the stockholders' equity is 77 billion. So this is a good balance sheet. And the numbers I gave you is from 2021. So they're very good on the balance sheet perspective. As far as the cash flow is concerned, their operations, they're successful. They are not losing any money on their operations. It's 32 million times 1,000 is 32 billion, 580,000. Their investing is whatever the expenses they are paying up is negative 22 billion. And they have not raised a lot of money last year in 2021, I believe, because at the time, I don't know if you guys remember this, in 2020 their stock was really high, and then it started dying down, and they weren't really raising much of money at that point. But their end position right now, their end cash, they have about 1.9 billion. As far as the free cash flow is concerned, free cash flow means it's cash flow that is free of any liabilities. So they have that about 29 billion. So very stable, very, very stable. As far as the short interest is concerned on the stock, Pfizer does not have a big short interest, meaning that there are people out there not betting the stock or the company to go bankrupt. Okay, nobody is pushing for it. Nobody's betting on it. Stock has 1.09%, which is below, like this for 1.09 is definitely not to be concerned about. Okay. You always have some shorting going on for every stock, so that's not an issue. As far as the institutional holdings are concerned, they own about, institutional banks are the big companies like Morgan Stanley, Chase Bank, BlackRock, Vanguard, all these big dogs, right? They own about 66% of the shares of the company. They have, out of those firms, 1,775 firms increased their position by 196 million. 1,200 has decreased their position by 130. So there's still a positive net. Okay, so this means that the positions were increased, not decreased, which means that stock is still stable. That's what the analyst, that's what the institution holding the stock as. As for the analysts, they think it's a strong buy. They think the average price, and these analysts are from these companies, as you can see the name here, Barclay, BMO Capital, Edward Jones, JP Morgan. These are the analysts from these 13 different companies. They're estimating the stock to be around $60 or so, and they think it's a strong buy. Again, this is their recommendation, but not something that we want to go forward with, right? So we want to see our own way of how this is going to go. So as we were talking, as we saw that the stock was hitting the resistance, as we talk about that. Now, support and resistance, how they usually work is this, right? When you have a support established, which means that a lot of folks will have some limit order kick in at this point. For example, you have an investor who missed the boat and is like, okay, let the stock come back to the same area, and I'm going to buy my stock at this point. So he puts in a limit order. So let's say the stock comes down, hits that $50.38, 35 cents, and the limit order kicks in. The stock started picking up again because, sooner people start buying the stock price started rising, and the sooner the stock people are selling the stock, investors are selling the stock is going to fall. So for example, you see right here, there's a resistance when we started the conversation, the stock was at 55.35, and then now after like few minutes, you can see start seeing the red one because it's hitting that resistance. Now what's happening here is it's not like somebody is sitting there and trying to sell. No, it's like a lot of time it's just the limit orders that are kicking in, and when they reach certain percentage, people take their profit, and you see a red. And let's say if it's still strong, like for example right here, there was a green, red, then green, some red, then green, and then it's still have a big green, and then so this is how it usually goes. Okay, here people are just taking some profit, and then when it gets to the resistance, you have a lot of limit order kicks in, and once those limit orders are settled, and you have new buyers come in, and then they start rising again. Now, if it hits that resistance again, and let's say if it goes a little higher and somebody has a limit order a little higher than that, then it'll kick in and some red will come in. But eventually, if it's strong enough, the buyers are strong enough, the stock will go to $56. And how do we find out if it's strong enough, right? That's the question. How do we find out like whether this is going to go up or not? This is where the other indicators come in. Now, support and resistance are just one fact that where you could see potentially some limit orders kicking in, right? After that, you got the moving averages. I use EMA, which is the exponential moving average. That will be your second indicator telling you how is this going to go. Now, this EMA is saying that last 13 candles is bouncing off of this. Like, it's not even coming close to the moving average. It's saying that it's not even coming close, which means that it's indicating, even though you see a red here, there's a potential the stock can still rise. The other indicator that tells you that is the RSI, Relative Strength Index. If anything is above 70, it means the stock is being overbought. But you got to understand that right now, the average is 32 million, and the stock that has been traded so far is 23 million. But look at the RSI, it's way above 70, right? Which means usually this happens if the stock usually sell only 35 or 20,000 stocks, and suddenly is selling 150 million. You'll see a RSI going that up. So right now, people are just taking money out of different stocks and just pumping into this. And I do have a feeling that we might see a 56 on here. But again, none of this is financial advice. I'm just giving you my opinion. So the RSI is above 70, which means the stock is still rising. MACD is another indicator that gives you that moving average conversion diversion. Is telling me that the MACD is a brown line, which is above the signal line, which indicates the stock is still rising. So even though you see a red, that potentially doesn't mean anything, because that's just saying that there are a lot of orders kicking in, people taking the profit, no problem. EMA is saying the 13 period is saying is moving up, 48 periods is saying is moving up, 200 period is like, it's going back to few weeks. So that is saying the average price is $52 right now. As I said, if it goes down, for example, let's say if it started going down, it could potentially come back to 53, 54 again, and then if it started dipping again, it could potentially fall back to $50 or so. But giving that the current market scenario and the fear that is mongering around the Federal raising their rates, I potentially see this stock to pick up again. But again, look, nobody can predict the future. What the indicators are telling me that this stock will potentially see a $56. And now look at this. I'm gonna go back to monthly chart just a quick minute, and I'll show you that this $61.71 was only resistance we had from last. In 2020, I think the stock reached about I think in 2020 it reached about 42 or 44. Let me see here. 1 second. Let me see what it reached in. Yeah. So this, like, it reached that $61 mark in last month of 2021, but even 2020 and last 2020 it was around $45. So it's, looking at the indicators that we just talked about and looking at the resistance that hit the resistance, and we'll see how that resistance play out. And if it started, as we discussed, right, if it started bouncing down and if it started rising and it crosses that resistance, there's no more limit orders at that point. At that point, you will have some individuals taking profits. Like, for example, you see some profit taking right here. This is not really a resistance. This is just whoever taking in and taking some profit out of it. And you can see it's only 3.3 million shares were traded during this window. If I go to 1 minute chart, for example, you'll probably see a different picture. Let's go to 1 minute chart for a quick minute. All right, you see quick minute, you see some red, some green, a few more reds right here, and this is a resistance right on a 1 minute chart, how it looks. And it went up a little bit and then it started declining. Now it hit the resistance and started declining again. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen on the stock. But again, as we said, a lot of different platforms suggesting that people should invest in pharmaceutical and stable stocks, and so healthcare stocks. So I think this is one of the stable stock because of the company is very strong. This is like an Apple of pharmaceutical companies, very strong company. So, but look, add it to your watch list. If you're using a platform which allows you to invest as partial, like, you don't have to buy the whole share. None of this is financial advice. I cannot stress this enough. This is just facts. What I do is, if I like a stock and I'm not ready to give in all my capital to it, I'll just buy partials just to keep my head in there, just to see how it behaves, and maybe then make a better decision. So just keep an eye out. Again, from last 2 days, the stock has been rising. So just keep an eye out on the stock and see how it goes. If it crosses that 55 mark, you could potentially see $56, and then after that, $61. So just keep an eye out. This is my quick video for today. I hope you guys liked it. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It keeps me motivated to bring these videos to you. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.